finishes it off. The Blue Jays get a remarkable performance from Trey Savage and offense everywhere as they beat the Yankees 13-7, and they're going to take a 2-0 lead into the Bronx.
A big game yesterday afternoon has the Blue Jays on the verge of advancing to the American League Championship Series. Good afternoon. The Jays are heading to New York up 2-0 in their American League Division Series.
The team's offense has come alive in the first 2 games of the series, and a rookie pitcher is dominating the headlines after a historic performance. CTV's Allison Hurst has been speaking with fans on this Monday following yesterday's big victory, and she joins us live now with more. Allison, what an exciting time to be a Jays fan.
Michelle, absolutely, and fans here around the stadium just can't stop talking about the weekend that they witnessed. Yesterday's 13-7 win capped off an incredible weekend of playoff baseball that saw the Jays take those first 2 games against the Yankees.
Deep left field. It is a grand slam.
The hits, the runs,
on another 2-2, a swing and a miss,
and the strikeouts.
Now Varsho drills one.
Just kept coming.
It was worth every dollar, every minute. It was. I think we just witnessed history here.
Rookie pitcher Trey Savage took the mound in his first ever postseason start.
He's built for this game. It's awesome. Let's just hope that he's built for the Blue Jay game and stays here as long as possible.
Setting a franchise record, 11 strikeouts in a postseason game, and he did it in just 5 innings.
Rookie pitcher, you want to save him maybe for later on. Don't burn him out now. And what a nice young man. That very pleased the way he's handling the situation.
Savage felt the support at the mound.
The energy and the passion that this fan base has, and all 44,000 people that were here tonight, it's special.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. also had a franchise first, a grand slam in the playoffs.
Vladdy is, he just, when we need him, he shows up.
The Jays also had a big 10-1 win Saturday, putting the Boys of Summer in a position to sweep the Yankees.
The game was beautiful. I mean, the team is so good this year. I think they're going to go just up till they win.
Game 3 is tomorrow in the Bronx. And that game gets underway just after 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Allison. And still to come on CTV News at noon, negotiators representing Israel and Hamas are meeting in Egypt today. We'll have more on their indirect ceasefire talks a little later in the newscast.
But first, an investigation is underway following a suspicious fire at a business in the Annex. Flames broke out at a business on Bloor, just west of Brunswick Avenue, shortly after 5 a.m. Toronto Fire says they received reports that someone threw something on fire into the store. No one was inside at the time, and the flames were quickly put out. Police are treating the incident as suspicious and say an investigation is ongoing.
A 58-year-old man is fighting for his life in hospital after being struck by a vehicle in Oshawa. This happened around 7:15 p.m. yesterday in the area of Albert Street and Athol Street East. Police say the man was riding an e-scooter when he was struck by a vehicle making a right turn from Albert Street. He was taken to a Toronto area trauma center with life-threatening injuries. Police say alcohol is believed to be a factor in this crash, but say the exact cause is under investigation. Meanwhile, 2 people were taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries following a crash in Schaumburg. This happened in the area of Highway 9 and 11th Concession around 9:45 a.m. The cause of the crash is under investigation as well.
Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights, is just a couple of weeks away, and a debate over fireworks has sparked controversy.
Mississauga is considering banning fireworks, which are an integral part of the traditional celebration, prompting outcry from residents. CTV's Kamal Karamali reports.
This is what a Diwali celebration usually looks like in Mississauga, Ontario. But the booms and the bangs could soon fizzle out for good.
Good morning, Madam Mayor.
On Wednesday, Mississauga City Council began considering a ban on fireworks for public use after the city received over 600 noise complaints last year covering all the holidays where fireworks are allowed.
Whenever there is a firework event, there are people who take unbelievable advantage of this. Fireworks are happening days before.
Most at this council meeting, though, opposed the ban.
It feels like a blow to cultural dignity.
About 24 of them speaking one.
It's a discrimination against my community.
After another.
It's integral to the celebration.
Here at the Hindu Heritage Center, there is concern the ban impedes on the Hindu community's religious freedoms, with Diwali just around the corner.
So it'd be very oppressive to Hindu beliefs and Hindu values, and especially the culture that's being celebrated for hundreds of years.
Right now, Mississauga allows its residents to set off fireworks with a city permit on 5 holidays, including Diwali, but the rules are different in their neighboring municipalities, with 3 having full fireworks bans, while 3 others only allow them on Canada Day and Victoria Day. Kitchener-Waterloo in Ontario approved a ban earlier this year.
Education is the key, I would argue, not banning.
With little faith, all residents will obey the rules.
If banned, residents won't stop buying. They'll simply drive to Toronto, Oakville, or Burlington.
While others are outright threatening to do this.
We have celebrated in the same way, and we will continue to celebrate in the same way, whatever you do today or tomorrow.
Mississauga City Council is set to vote on the proposed fireworks ban on October 15th, and if approved, the new laws would go into effect in January. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
The Ontario NDP rallied outside the Superior Court of Justice this morning, calling on the Ford government to invest in the province's court system.
They cited tens of thousands of Highway Traffic Act charges that were withdrawn last year. For more on this, we're joined by CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris. Siobhan.
Well, the CTV News brought the number of those charges to light last week. Cases like speeding, dangerous driving, and the people on the other end of those charges are really saying they feel they've been done a disservice by the justice system. We are hearing from the NDP and some lawyers, part of the system, saying that the government does need to invest more. That will help clear up a backlog. Instead, they're saying that tens of thousands of cases are being thrown out because they can't be heard within a prescribed window of time mandated by the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And so we heard today from one cyclist who was hit by a car in 2022 and only recently had her case thrown out.
I had held out hope that because of the seriousness of my injuries and because there were eyewitnesses that mine would result in a conviction. And when I learned that all the charges have been dropped, I really was beyond disappointed. I was upset, I was angry. And I really felt that I had been completely ignored by the system.
We have heard about his talk about being tough on crime. Unfortunately, Mr. Ford is being very stupid about crime. His actions don't follow his words.
Well, the government says that they have put more money into the judicial system, but we are hearing again today from victims, from lawyers, and from critics, as well as some prosecutors over the last few months, that it's not nearly enough. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. York Regional Police are investigating another incident involving shots being fired at a home in Vaughan.
No injuries were reported, but this latest incident once again has area residents on edge. CTV's Janice Golding has been following the investigation and joins us live with more details. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, Vaughan. York Regional Police are investigating yet another shooting here in the region of Vaughan. That marks the 7th time in about a month. Residents didn't want their homes identified via their surveillance video, but CTV News watched security footage that showed a white SUV pull up just past the home and then pull a U-turn. A man dressed in black emerges from the rear passenger side and then fires 13 shots at the home before returning to the car, which drives away. Now, this marks the 7th time, as I mentioned, since early September that a house has been fired upon in Vaughan as residents lay asleep in their beds. This time, police say they were called to a house on Chopin Boulevard near Autumn Hill in Thornhill Woods at around 3:45 a.m. Now, police have not revealed at this point if the shooting was connected to the other 6, the last of which occurred about a 10-minute drive away and was associated to the tow truck industry. Here's more from area residents.
I reported this to the police. I was awoken at 3:40 in the morning to several gunshots. When I came downstairs, I saw a car speeding away. I called the police. The neighbor was in disbelief. We all gathered. We try to support each other as best as we can here. Hopefully we can get to the bottom of this.
I was hoping it was fireworks until you hear the car door slamming and peeling away. Then you realize that it's a little bit more sinister.
Yeah, not just us, but the dogs as well. They got startled by the noise, and it's pretty packed homes, yet the noise was very loud.
Now, no injuries have been reported in any of these shootings. The investigation continues, and police say there will be an increased police presence in the area. Reporting live from Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janice. Let's take a moment and turn our attention to the forecast. A live look at our city this afternoon. And boy, oh boy, we've been enjoying an extended summer through this first week of October. This weekend, it was straight up hot out there. And today is yet another steamy one. But it will not last forever. You can believe that. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. We at least have one more day of this hot stuff.
We do. We're already feeling it, Michelle. I'll step aside so you can see the current temperature and humidex value in Toronto. 26 degrees right now. Feels more like 31. It's been a hot stretch, and today could end up being our hottest of the entire stretch. Right now, we have winds that are coming out of the south, light in nature. You're not going to find a whole lot of relief from the breeze out there. And if you're off to a pumpkin patch this afternoon, might I suggest shorts and t-shirts, because at the height of the day, it is going to feel like 32. Now, we did mention a change is coming. Beautiful sunshine for today, but see the top corner there. We've got a cold front that's going to swing through. And overnight tonight, we could see a few showers begin. They will continue into tomorrow. By Wednesday, cooler air is going to settle in, and it sticks around for Thursday, too. We'll take you through the forecast for the week ahead coming up. For now, Michelle, I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. The Great Lakes St. Lawrence Governors and Premiers Leadership Summit wraps up today in Quebec City.
President Trump wants to come after the jobs and create uncertainty, not only in Canada, but across the world. And maybe he should be looking at China. China is the problem. Canada is not the problem. We're your closest allies, closest friends. You know, we stood shoulder to shoulder in wars for decades beside each other. And I can tell you one thing, Canadians love Americans, absolutely love Americans. I have a tremendous amount of friends, close friends. As I said, I spent 20 years of my life down in Illinois. And even Republicans, they aren't too happy with what President Trump is doing.
Quebec Premier François Legault has been hosting Premier Doug Ford, as well as the governors of New York, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, as well as the heads of delegations from Ohio, Illinois, and Minnesota.
Tariffs will be a consideration as the Liberals prepare to table the federal budget November 4th. In Ottawa this morning, the finance minister spoke about how it will be structured.
We're going to calculate the deficit as it was presented in previous budget, the same thing with the debt. But what we're trying to do is to provide more transparency, more clarity for Canadians. So when you're going to look at the budget, you're going to open the page and you're going to be able to say, okay, where is the government of Canada investing my money? There's going to be a part which is, you know, day-to-day expenditure, and the other one on capital.
The Carney government will introduce the budget in the fall from now on. That ends the long-standing practice of releasing the document in the spring. Ottawa says the change will help departments, businesses, and policymakers plan better for upcoming fiscal years and assist builders in charting out the spring construction season.
After years of trying to escape war at home, many Ukrainians feel their future in Canada is uncertain.
As CTV's Alex Carper reports, one family in Winnipeg is trying to navigate that challenge while also dealing with a major medical crisis.
10-year-old Kira Hetsi loves art.
This is her work.
She has made several drawings and paintings, including this one, which is one of her favorites.
I like to paint like this.
The last few months, however, have been challenging for Kira. 4 months ago, she was diagnosed with a brain tumor and has already undergone 3 separate surgeries. It's a situation that came as a shock to Angelina and her family.
Oh, this is really hard.
She was forced to leave her job to take care of Kira, who spends all of her time either in the hospital or recovering at home.
She's no go to school. Maybe this year she's go to school maybe two weeks.
And leaving her job has put a big financial strain on her family.
Be the same like before. This is really hard and now is rent a little up.
As they deal with financial stresses and Kira's health condition, and Helena said they have another concern, the issue of permanent residency in Canada, which is something thousands of other Ukrainians are also dealing with.
they need some sense of predictability.
The Canada-Ukraine Authorization for Emergency Travel program is set to expire next March, which the Ukrainian Canadian Congress points out is concerning many people.
The stress of not knowing about your own status here and how long you'll be able to keep working for and supporting your family is certainly one that people think about often.
Hug me.
In the meantime, Helena says they will do everything they can to help Kira as they navigate her health and their future in this country. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Representatives of Israel and Hamas are in Egypt today for indirect ceasefire talks. They're aimed at building on the groundwork laid by U.S. President Donald Trump's 20-point plan.
We had some very good meetings. The countries of the world, a lot of the countries surrounding Israel, frankly, Muslim, Arab, and many others have had great meetings with Hamas, and it looks like it's working. So we'll wait for a little while, see how it all turns out. I think it's going to go very quickly. The meetings seem to be very good. We'll find out. We'll let you know soon.
And for more on the ceasefire talks, we're joined live by CTV's Colton Prale in Ottawa. Colton, what is being discussed today in Cairo?
Yeah, Nathan, those talks now underway, according to Egyptian state media, and the U.S. is framing this as a focus on what it's calling the first phase of the negotiation. Trump, of course, put out that 20-point peace plan that both sides are working off of. This first phase is centered around a couple of different elements of that. First off, it's the exchange of hostages for prisoners of war and detainees in Israel. And so you're going to see the 48 hostages, 20 of which or so experts believe are still alive, exchanged with Israel, and in return, you could see about 1,750 or so detainees from Israel returned to Palestine or to Gaza. You're also expected to see a ceasefire of sorts and a phased Israeli withdrawal of troops in the enclave. This first stage of the withdrawal would bring troops back to where they were in August, or what the U.S. is calling its yellow zone, essentially the first zone of that phased withdrawal, and a ceasefire. At this point in time, that ceasefire does not appear to have occurred yet. We're still seeing reports of explosions, for example, in the enclave and of airstrikes. And so the main focus of these negotiations, which the U.S. says are going to take a couple of days, is really around ironing out the details for how both of those things are going to work. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was speaking about it on the weekend and highlighted the importance of not only that ceasefire, but also determining just who is going to be taking part in all of this.
There now needs to be meetings, which are occurring even as I speak to you now, and hopefully will be finalized very quickly on the logistics of that. What that means is, who goes in to get them? Is it Red Cross? When do they show up, et cetera? What place are they going to be? And the conditions have to be created for that to happen. You can't have bombs going off and fighting going on in the middle of this exchange.
You heard him there mention the Red Cross. They, of course, have taken part in previous hostage exchanges between Hamas and Israel, but that is a key determinator. One of the other things we're seeing being reported in international media is the discussions around a post-war security force in the countries that might take part in that. That will be an element we're expecting of these discussions as well. But clearly, lots to cover. This just the beginning of those conversations and just the beginning portion of the president's peace plan for the region.
And with that, Colton, Trump appears confident a deal will be reached, but how likely is that given all the breakdowns in previous talks?
That's the golden question. And to your point, we've been here before. We've been in conversations, or we've talked about peace deals that seemed close or that had agreements from both sides in the past. We've seen hostages exchanged in the past as well for ceasefires that didn't hold and didn't last. One of the big questions is around what exactly both sides are agreeing to, because they say they agree with Trump's peace plan, but at the same time, you have Hamas not committing to disarmament, not committing to yielding power and giving up any future governance role in a Palestinian state. Those have been red lines for Israel. They're red lines for the U.S. as well. And so that's a major hurdle that needs to be cleared. Israel has internal pressure from the right wing of Benjamin Netanyahu's party to continue the offensive. So there are going to be domestic politics at play there on how they approach these decisions and these conversations. Certainly, there is a bitterness in the idea of giving up prisoners of war, but also some of these are Hamas fighters who have been detained to life sentences in exchange for hostages or for the remains of those hostages. And so there is a lot of domestic politics that Israel needs to consider in this discussion. And so while there is immense optimism that this might be the closest we've seen towards some sort of lasting peace or really moving towards concrete actions for lasting peace, there are still some very significant hitches in this that need to be ironed out, and those conversations begin at negotiations like the ones we're seeing in Egypt right now.
Is Colton Prale in Ottawa. Thank you.
A Trump-appointed federal judge has temporarily blocked the deployment of National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon. The ruling follows a clash between protesters and federal agents outside the city's ICE headquarters. The president had ordered the deployment of 200 National Guard troops to Portland in an effort to put an end to protests at the facility.
India and Russia are working together to keep their defense relationship strong. The Russian military says it's holding joint exercises with India's armed forces in the name of anti-terror cooperation. The two countries have maintained close military ties. Last month, India, Iran, and other Russian allies participated in military drills hosted by Russia and Belarus.
France's government has been plunged into chaos after the country's prime minister resigned just 24 hours after naming his government. Sébastien Lecornu, a close ally of President Emmanuel Macron, was the country's fourth prime minister in a year. He resigned after spending less than a month in office. Macron's opponents are now calling for a snap election.
The first Nobel Prize of the year was awarded in Stockholm this morning.
The Nobel Assembly at Karolinska Institutet has today decided to award the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine jointly to Mary Branco, Fred Ramsdell, and Shimon Sakaguchi for their discoveries concerning peripheral immune tolerance.
3 researchers, 2 from the U.S. and 1 from Japan, won the top prize in medicine for their research on how to keep the body's immune system under control. Their work has allowed for the development of possible new treatments for cancer and autoimmune diseases.
Well, it has been a very hot couple of days, but interestingly enough, we have not broken any temperature records. We have come close a couple of times. Here's a look at the last 3 days. Yesterday was the hottest at 27.2 degrees, but we had to climb higher than 30 in order to set a new record. Today's to beat is 29.4. We could come close to that, but once again, I'm suspecting maybe not. 28 is our forecast high, feeling like 32. Lots of sunshine out there today, but yes, a change on the way. We'll talk about how much rain is in the forecast and take an early look at your Thanksgiving long weekend weather. That's after the break. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
It happens to be Science Literacy Week, and a new event called What's Next kicks off today as part of Ontario's new energy literacy program. It's a collaboration between Ontario Power Generation, the Ontario Science Centre, and Ontario Tech University. And it's all happening at the Harbourfront, and that's where we find our Jessica Smith. She's got a sweet ride this afternoon. Tell us more.
Listen, Michelle, it really is cool, and science just touches every single part of our life. And we're down here at the Harbourfront Centre, Kids Spark location, and it is just so cool. We're learning all about science. We've got a robot dog, a bike you have to pedal to power, and we've got some really, really cool and special guests. Here, Corey, I'll get you going here. Here we go, nice and bright. It's lit, I promise you. But we're gonna walk over here and talk to the people who actually know what's going on. We have Walter and Nicole, come on in here. I wanna talk to you guys about what this week is all about. Walter, I'm gonna start with you. Tell me what we're doing here, because I see a robot dog, a bike you have to literally power up. What's going on?
Well, we're here at the Ontario Science Centre at Harbourfront Centre, our Kids Spark location. As part of our partnership with OPG, we're launching a new website, whatnext.ca. And so we're excited to increase science literacy here in Science Literacy Week.
So I want to talk to you, Nicole. what is the goal with kind of encouraging people to get into careers in STEM and understanding how we literally impact the energy in the world around us?
Well, we have so much increase in demand for electricity coming in the future that we need people to understand that, and we need lots of people to think this is a great way for me to build my career. And so this website actually will help, you know, young people understand the science better, but also people understand career paths and where they could go in their journey with energy.
Now, it really is cool. The robot will never not absolutely freak me out in a cool way, because it is really interesting. We're kind of learning how our energy impacts the world around us and vice versa. What do you want people to take away from an event like this, where you walk in and you can literally understand how your energy gets put out into the world and returned?
Well, that's exactly it. This realization that it's not really a mystery. It's something that you can understand, and not just understand, but impact. It's about future generations. And speaking of future generations, generating power for the future. And we know that has to change in Ontario. And so in order to make those decisions, we have to be informed. And so that's part of the power of whatnext.ca, in order to create that information in a way that people can digest it and understand it.
Listen, I'm digesting and understanding all of it. There's so much cool stuff here. The wall behind us lights up. I'm going to try to maybe power things up here a little bit. I'm going to send things back into the studio, and we're going to make sure we have a lit and creative afternoon. I'll send things back inside.
Thanks, Jess.
That's it, Jess. That's it.
Absolutely illuminating.
Totally. Don't you love science?
I love science, and I'm glad the Science Center has these pop-ups, yeah.
And what about the forecast?
Yeah, I think we love the forecast, too, or we have enjoyed the weather the last few days. I think many have. Some might be ready for some more fall-like weather. I get it. It's been very hot as of late, and some cooler conditions are on the way. We also have a rainy day to get through, so that's going to be tomorrow. Today, though, perhaps our hottest day of the entire stretch. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. A beautiful start to the day today. Look at this sunrise, and not just the sunrise, but a bit of fog in and around the GTA today, made for some beautiful scenery. It is warm already today. In fact, it already feels into the 30s. It's going to feel like 32 at the height of the afternoon. There's some of that fog. You can see it there in the valleys and the low-lying areas. Let me show you the temperature difference right now, depending on which part of Canada you or your relatives might be joining us from today. It is 26 degrees in Toronto and Ottawa, 23 in Quebec City, but look at Western Canada, 7 degrees right now in the city of Edmonton and only 5 in Regina. The temperature was close to freezing earlier today. And there were reports of some flurries and some light snow in parts of Alberta over the weekend. All right, so it is quite hot in southern Ontario. It has cooled down significantly in the north. And of course, this is all thanks to a cold front, which is going to impact us as we make our way through the night tonight. You'll notice it more so into tomorrow. UV index for today is a 5 or moderate. Lots of sunshine out there. Your evening at a glance, this is about 7 o'clock. The sun will have set. Sunset time 6:49 p.m., but it is still going to be feeling close to 30, about 25 degrees, humidex 29. Tonight's low, 18 degrees. That is well above seasonal. Look at Bancroft, 15 for a low overnight tonight. Typically, that community would be close to about 4 degrees. Highs for tomorrow, this is a bit of a drop. Not quite as cool as it's going to be into Wednesday and Thursday, but as you can see, low 20s, upper teens, depending on where you're joining us from. And yes, we do have this active weather to talk about. So tomorrow at a glance, the morning, you can expect that it will be filled with showers, maybe a thunderstorm as well. That possibly follows us into the early part of the afternoon before conditions improve into your Tuesday evening. Satellite and radar, you can make out the front there. Cold front slices through, and again, a change comes. Here's how it's going to play out. We've got some wet weather in store. How much rain? Well, maybe anywhere from 10 to 20 millimeters of it here in Toronto. It's needed. We haven't had a whole lot of wet weather so far in the month of October. And there's a look at the timing of its arrival. So that's about 5 a.m. tomorrow. A second round of showers and storms possibly into tomorrow afternoon. Clears out for the evening, and then we are back into sunshine as we make our way into the day on Wednesday. But it is cooler, 15 degrees Wednesday, only 14 for Thursday. So a significant change. The long weekend at this point is looking pretty pleasant. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The Raptors will be hitting the court in Vancouver tonight for their first preseason game. The team will be squaring off against the Denver Nuggets at Vancouver's Rogers Arena. Tip-off is set for just after 10 p.m. Eastern Time. The Raptors finished last season with a record of 30-52 and missed the playoffs for a third consecutive season. The team is set to open the regular season October 22nd in Atlanta against the Hawks. The home opener is set for October 24th against the Milwaukee Bucks.
Still to come, could there have been life on Mars? There's new research looking at the history of the red planet. We'll have that and more when we return. Scientists have known for some time that Mars was once habitable, but whether or not there was life there is an unanswered question, and now a new study deepens the mystery.
And for more, we're joined by CTV's science and tech specialist, Dan Riskin. So, Dan, what did the Perseverance rover find?
Well, so they've been looking at minerals they've been finding all over the place, and where the Perseverance rover is a former lake. I mean, it used to be a body of water on the surface of Mars, which, as far as we know, is very conducive to the evolution of life. And so the big question is, was there life when there could have been? And if so, what happened to it? And if not, why not? But what researchers have realized is when they look carefully at those minerals, they're starting to see different sort of profiles of salinity and alkalinity / acidity. So what this suggests is that maybe it filled with water and then emptied, and then filled with water again and then emptied again. So maybe this place wasn't just habitable once. Maybe Mars was habitable for life and then not, and then it was again, and then not, and then it was again. And if that's the case, what does that say about the scenario and what played out? So it completely changes sort of the basic principles of how we think about the possibility of life on Mars.
Wow.
What, you want more from me? Fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, it's one of these basic things, and you'd love to be able to travel back in time, but these tools that are on these rovers are sort of the next best thing. They sort of look at those rocks and try to see what was there back in the day, and maybe one day we'll find evidence, and maybe it's just never there to be found.
On another note, let's talk a little bit about AI, and there's new research that is showing that people are more likely to cheat if they let artificial intelligence do their dirty work. Tell us more on that.
Exactly. So I think it's really important not just to learn about AI tools, but to pay attention to how people use them and what they're being used for. And we're seeing all these videos that are being created that, are showing up on the internet. But when you are asked in an experiment to do something that requires honesty, people cheat at a certain rate. And you can, by changing the way you phrase the question or changing the circumstances, you can change human behavior to make people more likely or less likely to cheat. So, for example, you can say to somebody, roll the dice, and every time you get a 6, hit a button, and then you get a $1 prize. And people will hit the button more often than statistics say they probably really did roll, but they can cheat because nobody can see. If you tell AI to hit the button for you, or if you tell AI to roll the die for you, or you do a bunch of different scenarios where AI is involved, the more autonomy it has, the more people are willing to sort of take some liberties and let it cheat for them. And so this really speaks to sort of that same psychological connection we have to our devices where, if you're not saying it to somebody's face, it's much easier to say something mean online because you don't have to actually see them. Well, this is showing sort of the next level of that. If you're letting AI do the unscrupulous thing, it doesn't feel like you're really doing it, and so those natural instincts to be a good person aren't as loud as they would otherwise be.
Wow. Well, this next story has a bit of a connection to your phone. If you want a big career epiphany, it's best to not stare out the window, or it's better to stare out the window than to scroll on your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when you're on your phone, you're letting the internet be creative for you, and you're seeing all the creativity other people have. But there is a value in being bored, right? And this comes up over and over and over. And as parents, all three of us, we've talked about this many times, the value of putting your kids in a situation where they're just bored and they just have to look out the window in the car ride or whatever it is. This speaks to that. When they look at when people had career epiphanies, those moments where they suddenly realize, I don't want to work in this career anymore, I want to completely change, I want to go back to school, or I want to apply for a totally different industry, that most likely happens during daydreaming. And you can't daydream if you're on your phone. And so this is just another reminder that when you've got spare time, sometimes just staring there and looking like an idiot is the best thing you can possibly do.
That was me earlier. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It's nice being alone in your thoughts. Yeah, it's great to hear the science backs that up.
Yeah, it does.
CTV science and tech specialist Dan Riskin, all the best. Thanks for popping in.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Well, some other news now. Hallway medicine has become the norm, unfortunately, in some healthcare facilities across the country.
Now, new video from inside a hospital in Saskatoon is outlining just how crowded things can get. CTV's Allison Bamford has the story.
3, 4. I think there's 6 beds here, and then there's more on the other side.
Video shows crowded hallways in this Saskatoon hospital lined with patients on stretchers. And for 2 days last week, that's where Lynn Harmon's mother was stuck receiving care.
It literally looked like a natural disaster had just happened.
Harmon shocked to see machines plugged into extension cords, portable dividers, and patients within earshot of others receiving procedures.
There was absolutely no privacy.
From 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., there was 172 people went by her bed.
Tim Lang's mother was treated in the hallway for 4 days after having a stroke.
There's patients were walking barefooted in that hallway. Somebody in the bed next to her got up and he literally peed on the floor.
Hallway medicine typically happens when capacity surges in emergency departments across the country. The Canadian Medical Association calls it unacceptable.
This does not provide the care we want, nor the care that they deserve.
Health officials say several factors contributed to the recent capacity surge in Saskatoon, including an early wave of respiratory viruses.
More people were accessing the emergency department, and they were sicker, resulting in more people being admitted, which created more capacity challenges within our hospital system.
At the peak, the health authority says 42 patients were waiting for a bed, but not all were treated in the hallway, and care wasn't compromised.
She just wanted help, and she got her help that she wanted. But I think we need a little bit more privacy, a little bit more dignity, a little bit more compassion.
Last month, the health authority added 20 new hospital beds in Saskatoon. Another 89 are on the way. But experts say there needs to be an increase in primary care resources to help patients avoid the ER altogether. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still to come, the internet has been buzzing following the Blue Jays' big wins over the Yankees this weekend. We'll have more on the online reaction when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Blue Jays have been the talk of the town following their big wins over the Yankees this weekend, and that's been generating a whole bunch of buzz online. For more, we're joined by Sam East, host with 99.9 Virgin Radio. This is our regular Monday segment, Chronically Online. Sam, so excited to get to talk Jays with you. What is all the buzz online?
Well, as anticipated, the city and beyond are rallying behind our boys. So the reaction is explosive. Back-to-back games at home. You can feel the energy in the city and online. And people are taking some, let's call it creative liberties here, including this narrative, I guess, this account around Vladdy's Grand Slam. Have a listen and look at this.
The perfect pairing, quintessentially Canadian. What a moment that was, Sam.
Oh my goodness, unbelievable. And you know, you wouldn't have thought to pair a song from the Titanic soundtrack to this moment that'll go down in Toronto sports history, but it works so well. And of course, the reaction continues. You might actually recognize this very familiar face reacting to the game.
Jays win 2 in a row. What was your favorite moment of the game?
Probably when Vladdy hit a grand slam and all the other home runs.
How about you?
Mommy, why are the Yankees so bad?
That was Shay there. I was telling her, let's not count our chickens before they hatch. But honestly, what a phenomenal start. And can I say, for me, I remember 92, 93 when they won the World Series. I was about their age. It was such a big deal. I think I wore my Jays hat for a year straight, never took it off. And so to be experiencing this with my kids, it's just the coolest thing ever. And it's nice to have them actually sitting still for a bit because they are riveted. It was just so much fun to watch, Sam.
It is a real bonding moment for so many people and families in the city. So I'm glad that you're making these memories with your little ones.
And I hope we'll be talking more Jays in the weeks ahead as they, maybe they'll take it to on Tuesday. We'll have to see. We'll switch gears a little bit, though. We got to talk about Sabrina Carpenter, one of the biggest pop stars right now. But she paid tribute to a Canadian pop icon this weekend. I love this pairing.
Yes, unlikely. We didn't see it coming initially, but Sabrina was headlining a festival in Austin when she brought out this Canadian special guest.
Okay, see you from Austin, Texas.
Oh, Sabrina and Shania. I mean, that's an incredible pairing.
It goes together so well, and I just love how Shania has that staying power. This song starts playing and the crowd goes wild. I can only imagine if they were to pan to the audience how young the people would be in attendance, but they know every single word to this song, and artists like Sabrina are keeping Shania very relevant. Sabrina is coming to Toronto next month, about just over a month away. I'm wondering, is she going to bring out Shania once again, or perhaps another Canadian artist? Definitely kind of taking our bets now on who she might be bringing up.
That hopefully she'll bring someone Canadian, but yeah, Shania would be amazing. And I feel like Sabrina is so hot right now, but Shania's had such an incredible, second, third act. I don't know. She's amazing. It's fun to see her everywhere right now.
It is. And again, you go to a karaoke night, Michelle, people are singing Shania. And I think that's the true marker of staying power.
I was going to think of a Shania line, but no, I don't want to sing right now. Sammy's, thank you so much. You can hear her on 99.9 Virgin Radio on weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m. You should play some Shania.
You know what? I might just. Thanks, Michelle.
Take care. Have a great week.
You too.
And as Taylor Swift's new album set streaming records, it also helped the pop star win the weekend box office. The film release party for Swift's album, The Life of a Showgirl, took over the theaters this weekend. It offered a behind-the-scenes look at how the singer-songwriter's 12th album came together. Screenings of the film brought in $33 million across North America.
I need to find my daughter. Well, then call us back when you have the time.
One battle after another lost the top spot, but brought in more than $11 million U.S. in its second weekend. Critically acclaimed sports biopic The Smashing Machine opened in third place with $6 million, well below Hollywood forecasts.
Coming up on CTV News at noon, how about this? A unique honor for Blue Rodeo. We'll have more on this massive corn maze created to mark the band's 40th anniversary when we return. Blue Rodeo is marking its 40th anniversary this year and have been receiving honors across our country.
In New Brunswick, their legacy is being marked in the form of a massive corn maze. CTV's Sarah Plowman has more.
25 years ago in Florenceville, New Brunswick, a tradition sprouted. Build a maze of dead ends and trivia carved out of corn.
We've had people in here for hours.
While you can't tell from down here, each path has purpose. In a 6-acre puzzle celebrating Blue Rodeo's Jim Cuddy and Greg Keeler as the band celebrates 40 years together.
Been a fan ever since I can remember. I mean, since Blue Rodeo started. I remember listening to them in my tractor. Someone gave me a tape.
It's possible to get lost here in search of the musicians' faces or shades. To Jim Cuddy, it's an honor.
It's beautiful. I mean, we just saw pictures of it a couple of days ago, and it's truly, it's amazing. Beautiful.
How do you fare in corn mazes? Are you a type of guy who gets lost?
No, frankly, I probably could find my way out. I think there's others in the band, and I won't mention them, who probably would be asking to phone management to send somebody to help them.
This is a multi-step process. Once they think of the idea, they work with a graphic designer to draw it out, and then an engineer who uses a GPS to plot out exactly where they need to remove the corn.
We've gotten some really fantastic mazes out of that process.
A slice of Canadiana for 25 years, including nods to Stan Rogers and Gordon Lightfoot and Terry Fox.
We just like to see families out enjoying time with each other.
I would advise everybody to go and have a look at it, and don't deface our faces.
But perhaps get lost together. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Florenceville, New Brunswick.
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful weekend for exploring a corn maze. It was summer sizzle. In fact, we were at a pumpkin farm and everybody was complaining, we're so hot. I'm like, enjoy this.
I know. Nobody knows what to do. Do we enjoy this, or are we eager for some cooler fall-like weather? Well, the cooler weather is coming, but first we have to get through today. It's a hot one. And then tonight we have the chance of a few showers, maybe even a thunderstorm before morning. So this is more so into tomorrow morning through the overnight hours. Tomorrow's high, okay, so this is already a little bit cooler, 21 degrees, still going to feel like 27. And yes, you should have the umbrella handy all day long with the possibility of wet weather. We're headed to the Bronx. Here's a look at the Blue Jays in the ALDS taking on the Yankees tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Should be partly cloudy skies and a temperature around 23 degrees by game time. 7-day forecast back here in the city of Toronto shows, yes, cooler conditions for Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, we're back in the upper teens, and look at another sunny stretch continuing right into the Thanksgiving long weekend. We'll have a look at Thanksgiving Monday tonight on CTV News at 5 and 6 o'clock. Nathan and Michelle.
Already looking forward to it. Thanks, Lindsay. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Ethan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.